Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, I want to do something a little different for my followers of my channel today. I am outside here in St. Louis, Missouri at a friend's house, and I want to give you a week in review. This is a personal connection and tell you some of the things that I've been through throughout this week. Normally I give you a storyline. I'll give you my introduction to the Trevor Donald Experience, give you the story, and then I'll give you my opinion at the end. Well, this one's a little bit different. I'm doing this outside, and this is just going to be a heartfelt conversation that I want to bring up three particular topics about. This has been a busy week in St. Louis, and there's been some devastating news on two accounts, all three really. One or two is less than the other, but I want to tell you how it's connected to me. So I call this my week in review since Mother's Day in St. Louis. So you're going to hear a little noise because I'm outside, but I want this to be as real as possible. The first one happened the day after Mother's Day. This is how my week started. Mother's Day was fine, even though my mother has been deceased since 1981, died the day before my 13th birthday from breast cancer, metastasized to bone cancer. So Mother's Day is always a very touchy and personal day for me. And it's all about reflection, love, and how I utilize my time. But the first one is about what happened to Jayson, the Boston Celtics All-Star and St. Louis native, Jayson Tatum, and his season-ending injury, and he may lose out on next year's season because he tore his right Achilles tendon just leaning down and making a step to get to a loose ball during the New York Knicks game on Monday. And how random is that to end up having a season-ending injury where he tears his Achilles tendon just trying to gather a loose ball? How random is that? You're talking about NBA players, professional athletes. They're at the highest skill set of their lives and in the best shapes of their lives. And we're starting to see quite a few of these kinds of soft tissue and muscle injuries in these NBA players over the last 20 years, a lot. Even Kyrie Irving just tore his ACL. Steph Curry was out in the playoffs this time because of a hamstring issue. And then, of course, Jayson Tatum, as I said, not strained, but tore his right Achilles tendon, which is going to put him down for at least a year. What is going on with the training sessions in these NBA athletes? The guys back in the 80s and 90s were much bigger, much stronger, and they did not sustain these kinds of injuries. And what should Jayson Tatum learn from it? Well, this is probably the first time in history that he's had a major injury like this. And maybe this is the first time since he's a little boy that he's going to have a chance to sit down and reflect. I did an entire video on Jayson a week or so ago on his injury when I first heard about it, but I'm saying, what can he learn from it? Everything about life is a learning lesson and a learning tool, and what can be garnered from a negative situation to turn it into positive. Well, he grew up, I know both of his parents, Justin Tatum, his dad, and Brandy Cole, his mother. They weren't married when Brandy had him, and he grew up with his mother in his mother's home, just him and his mom, so they had some struggles. Will this injury give him reflection back to those times? So he's been a tough kid and is growing up, and now and his life has been going in a positive trajectory for quite a number of years, from being the Gatorade Player of the Year in St. Louis at Chaminade High School to his 1 year at Duke, to becoming the third overall pick in the NBA draft when he came out, I think in 2017. He was a third pick to Boston, and things have been a yellow brick road up until now. Well, he comes from a strong family. I know, like I said, I know his dad, I know his mother, I know his cousins, his family, his extension, and just Jayson is going to be okay. Internally, he's a strong young man. Family dynamics are strong, and him physically recovering from this injury is probably a time for him to sit down, reflect, get his body back in shape, get his mind and his spirit back in shape. He's going to have an opportunity to spend more time with his children. I think he has 2 kids now. To give more hugs and love to his family, and get back to restoring himself at the highest possible level. I think Jayson Tatum is a top 10 NBA basketball player. And so that's the first thing that happened at the beginning of the week. I feel a personal connection with the young man. I know him better than he knows me. But I think he will be okay. And the day you stop learning and the day you stop seeing that life is a journey is the day you start dying. And life is a journey and not a destination point. And this is part of his journey. This is part of this molehill and this mountain that he has to cross. And with his family support and the Boston Celtics community and the city of Boston, Jayson will be back strong and healthier than ever. So that was the first disappointment that I saw when Jayson got injured. I almost felt like that was my nephew that got hurt. The second thing, on Thursday, I found out that a good friend of mine that was part of our group here in St. Louis suddenly passed away from an alleged heart attack in Kansas. His name was Otis Lawson, or we called him OT, or Memphis. He was from Memphis, but he'd been in St. Louis for a number of years and has gotten to know quite a few people. He has integrated himself a part of the basketball sphere for guys that are in their 50s and late 40s. I've been knowing OT for at least 10 to maybe 15 years now. Yeah, at least 15 years. And I got a phone call from another buddy of ours named Tony that said that OT was having some health issues and went to the hospital and at 10 a.m. and had passed away by 12 noon from an alleged heart attack. Well, the irony in that is the best place to have a heart attack is at a hospital or the emergency room. So I'm not so sure what exactly happened, but when it's time for us to go, it is time to go. And so what you learn from this is that the most important, essential commodity and utility we have in life is our time, and sharing that with our loved ones, because we never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Your present right now is your present. Your past is your past. Your gift for today is your present, and tomorrow is not promised. And in this group here in St. Louis, we've lost quite a few guys in the last few years that are between the age of 50 to 60. It's not like we're 80 years old. And losing OT this past Thursday was shocking and heartfelt. And there are some other people I want to mention that I don't know if my group was having bad juju or what is going on. It's just a timing thing. But there's been several of our buddies who have passed, and many of them have gone to Vashon High School here in St. Louis, and a historic high school that is probably the #1 high school for basketball in the state, and has garnered more state championships than anybody, and there's been a plethora of great athletes and great men that have come there. But I'm going to just name a few that end up passing that I miss. So who we lost in the last couple of years: so Scotty Guthrie, who was a great friend of mine, Big Gleeky, Michi Pate, Mark Berry, Alan Gator, Ramon Pistol Trice, and of course Otis Lawson, just to name a few. And as I said, I was telling good friend Tony here in St. Louis, who I spend a lot of time with, and a good friend of mine, Lyle Champagne, that I don't know if our group has bad juju or what, but it seems like the old saying that we're dropping like flies seems to be somewhat true. And we got to do some self-reflection on taking care of our bodies and not drinking too much, not smoking too many cigars. We do have some control over that, making sure we go to the doctor, but also make sure that you let your loved ones know that you care about them. So time is your most important commodity, and love is an action and a verb. You can tell somebody that you love them, but I think it's very important to show them. And we don't have as much time as we think we do. So the second one is the passing of Otis Lawson, OT. And he's going to be greatly missed. And of course, he has children that are going to miss him as a father. And so our time, I want this video to be surrounded and encapsulated with time being your most important utility and commodity, keeping the mess and the distractions out of your life, the gossip, the messiness. We need to love each other and lean on each other more so than hurting each other. The other part is the love, that it's an action and a verb, and we need to display it and show it because we're not promised tomorrow. The third part is, after that, on Friday, St. Louis, Missouri got hit with a very nasty and aggressive tornado. My house has been terribly damaged by the tornado. It happened around Friday at 2:30. I was gone doing my job and the things that I needed to do, and came back at 4:30 or 5. And my house is, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to restore it or it's going to be okay. The city of St. Louis got hit hard. Clayton, Missouri got hit hard. The Central West End got hit hard. And there's been about 5,000 buildings that have been damaged. What does that tell you? Life, here again, is very sacred. It's very simple, but also multiplicated. And Mother Nature is the king and queen of Earth. And just as man, whether it's Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, that think that they can go to space and try to explore and control the narrative of how we exist, that's not true. Mother Nature let us know who he or she is the most powerful, and there's been severe destruction here in St. Louis. So just when man thinks that he has the controls, whether it's building a dam to slow down a river going one way, well, we saw what happened with Katrina in New Orleans several years ago. Mother Nature made sure that those dams got broken. So for those who don't believe in God, or that there is some kind of existential spiritual entity out there, where Mother Nature will show you that it is. We always talk about exploring the depths up in the sky, whether it's Mars, Saturn, or the planetarium astronomy atmosphere. We're always trying to explore what's going up, but people have to realize that 60% of the earth is covered by water, and 90% of our oceans and our seas have never been explored. We're so worried about aliens coming from the sky, but how do we know what's down in the sea and the depths of the floors of our ocean? Maybe the aliens are coming from the sea and the ocean and from down there. 90% of our oceanic waters have never been explored. So all of that was created not by man, by Mother Nature. And just when we think we're pushing the elements of the forces of the Creator, that Creator will show you who's in control. And so there has been an innumerable amount of devastation that has taken place in St. Louis, Missouri. I've never been a part of a disaster. This is my first time experiencing it, and you do feel a certain isolation, a certain separation, a certain this has only happened to me kind of effect. You feel isolated, and it is a tough scenario. So now we have to see, and I've done videos on FEMA and some of the alphabetic organizations in the government, whether it's FEMA or the U.S. Aid, and now I'm going to have to see in real time and in real life, what will the federal government do for the people of St. Louis, Missouri? It is going to be very interesting. There is an innumerable amount of devastation and destruction, including some deaths that have taken place due to this tornado that took place on Friday afternoon. So if you have family members here in St. Louis, reach out to them. Please, people around the world and the universe, please send your prayers out. And of any way that you can help the people that are suffering here in St. Louis, please do. The last time I can remember some kind of severe tornadic event that took place was down in Cape Girardeau, the boot heel of Missouri, about 15, 20 years ago maybe, where a tornado took out a lot of the boot heel and some cities down there, and there was several $1 billion worth of damage, flattening of cities in that rural area, and there were several deaths. That was the closest thing I'd ever been to, and that was 15 or 20 years ago. And for this to hit the city of St. Louis, in my years of existence, this is the first time I have ever bore witness to it or experienced it. And it was extremely a scary situation. So I am personally going through it. I have to find out if my house is going to be restored, and if not, it's going to have to be demolished, and then go through the insurance situation, see what the city and the state and the federal government is going to do to provide aid. I will be okay, but I worry about the less fortunate and the folks that did not have insurance. Unfortunately, the place that it hit the most, the tornado dropped down and caused the most destruction, was in North St. Louis City. So you're talking about low income, an area that was already stressed. Many of your middle schools and public schools have already been closed. There were already several vacant buildings and homes on several streets. So the people that needed help the most are the people that suffered the greatest devastation due to this tornado. So I just want to do a real video and talk about real issues with real people, even though all my videos are about that, but I'm not reading a story that took place. I'm letting you know how this week has gone for me and how life is tough. You have to keep moving forward. The day you stop learning is the day you stop living. The day you stop loving is the day you stop living, and love is a verb and an action, and you have to show it and display it, and realize that time is your most important utility and commodity, and that is existential. You can't touch it, you can't stop it. It moves and flows in one direction like a river, and it is a real thing that keeps moving forward. So to try to encapsulate it, which is one thing we can never do, but the way you can partially encapsulate it is by enjoying the individuals that you're with, not being a messy or negative person. We're all forces of energy, and it should be in a positive and constructive way, and we should manifest our truth in a positive, constructive, and righteous, God-fearing way. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience.